everyone, Jane here. Thank you so much for watching today. I am back with another video showing some of the latest Maremi books, collage books. These two are slightly different in that it's not full of images as such, as in like characters, but these are books that I think will really go well with lots of the other books you might or might not already have, or even not even have to have Maremi books for these to go with. They are just excellent books. I showed these in my last video where I showed a little crafty arty haul that I had been buying over the time when I've been moving house, and I decided that I wanted to do these as a separate video as well, just to have a quick flick through of each of the books, and then I will make a video, I will make a project using these books in time lapse, and I will do a voiceover for that part. But this first part I thought I'd just quickly go through the book. So we'll start with junk journaling words. For me, words are an essential part of my art journaling process. I do love words in my work, either through stamping or through collage or through even stenciling sometimes. I just love having a final saying as well on my words, as well as in the background. So this is thoughts, sayings, notes, fragments, stories and more. I won't spend ages on each page, but I wanted you to be able to see what's in the book, so it helps you decide if this is something that you would like to buy. I am not affiliated to Marta in any way, shape or form. I get nothing for if you buy these books. I literally show them because they are something that I genuinely buy and use. So all the things that I have on my channel, I generally have bought for myself, or a member of my family might have bought it as a gift. So I am not being paid to show you these things. I love all the different colours in this one. I love the different styles. This really, I do really enjoy it with the calendar, or the numbers and the other numbers and the musical notes, things like that. There's different sizes, different fonts, different sort of orientations, different colorways. Ones where like this, where you just have a word and a definition, which I think is lovely. This way it's more of a cut apart, or you could take whole pieces of this as a background. You don't have to just use words for your main focal point. This is the same, I do it a lot with my stamping. Take your sentiments, put them all together, make a background stamp. You know, if you haven't got a stamp that has words, then put words together and make your own background stamps. They don't have to always be at the forefront. They can be a background sort of element of your pages, but they also do make beautiful, you know, focal points as well, or to go alongside a focal point. So these ones are much bigger, so the right people will never leave. The special people in your life are the ones who see the light in you when you can't see it in yourself. So then you've got some that are more vintagey, so this sort of grungy vintage sort of look. So be you bravely, never give up. I like having longer ones like these, more full sentences or phrases, and then ones where it's just a word, believe. You know, sometimes that's all you need. But like I say, you could take a multiple of these and you could use it as a whole cluster of words. If you see ones that you think, well, these are a bit small for, you know, my art journaling, maybe these would be good for a small card if you was making a small card, because everything we use in art journaling is also, you know, possible to be used in card making, in mixed media, you know, more altered art type pieces, or I'm trying to think of these scrapbook pages. You know, these are all just tools that I don't see anything as being for a particular area of art or craft. I feel that they're just tools and you use it where you want to use it. I love these. You know, I do like a bit of rusty effect. Go beautifully with the industrial personas. And tickets. So this is your bonuses. So you've got your tickets, more tickets, more tickets. And then also the bonus page that gives you a sort of taster of the other books that you might want to buy. And I also love that you now get the background sheet that's on the back of your other pages as a separate sheet as well, and then info about Maremi's Facebook group and YouTube channel, because you know she does put a lot of content on her own channel as well. There are also lots of other YouTubers who also create projects with the book, so do please check them out. I'll try to remember and add some into the description box below, but you know, if you just type in to the YouTube search bar Maremi Collage books, I'm sure they will come up in that. Now the other one that I got of the latest books is the tickets, so frames, words, notes, fragments, tags and more. I'll do the same. We will just go through fairly, not speedily, but you know, fairly quickly. So again, the same sort of idea, lots of different styles, but in this one you're also getting these sorts of things like the film cells, Polaroids, little windows and frames. Those things are probably what I would really sort of be looking at to use as well, but also like little clusters that have been put together, extra elements like your buttons, so you can, or your bulldog clip, your bits of tape, so you can build up your own clusters. I love tape measures, one of my favourite things. You know, again, more words even within the tags. Lots of, again, vintage style, but also alongside the vintage, something a little bit brighter. So if you're not into that sort of more subdued pastel colour palette, you might want something a bit brighter. Like, looks like strips of washi tape. I love that one. And lots of numbers. You can never have, in my opinion, too many numbers. And then we've got frames that are clustered up already for you, so look like they've already got the pieces of lace and flora and fauna. So if you're somebody who likes the look of clusters but you don't have the materials around you, or you don't want to be making them yourself, you know, something like that would be ideal. I love film cells, you know, film strips, Polaroids, all those things. That is really something that I will use a lot of. Doors and windows, again, more colourful tickets. Then again, you've got your film cells and your photos, also like your luggage tags, your little library card type things as well. A real sort of mixture of styles and again sizes, so larger ones, because you know you don't just have to use these on small pages, you can use on bigger pages. Whatever you have, these will, you know, will fit in and suit. Like these ones, more of a sort of celestial vibe or a fairy tale type vibe. Again, just these are for me. Just individual words again. I love these frames, so you could cut them just the outside and then have it and then put something in them, or you could cut them and make them an actual frame, cut out the inside as well. That would be fun. Ooh, now I'm thinking that might be going on the page I do with these books. More of this. I cannot have too many of them, to be totally honest. So again, that vintagey look, but some have got just pictures on, some have got numbers, some have got words. These are fabulous, just as little background elements in your pages to put behind focal points. It all helps to like build up that area, that focal image. Lovely sort of subdued colours there, but again, just individual words. I love these ones, like library, from the library of, title, author, date. So you can add your own bits, like if you've got a white gel pen, so you could write something on that, you know, you can add it into it. And you, again, you get your bonus pages, white on black, my absolute all-time favourite style of sentiment. And then we've got some more bonus words, loads and loads, and a whole section there. So you could cut these out individually, or again, you could tear out that and have it as a background. More bonus words, and then another bonus page, this time with more of the sort of the autumnal sort of area features that you might find in another of Marta's books. And again, we get that background page, so you can use that. But if there are pages in the book that you don't like, you can always use that background on the back of them. They've all got that on the background. You don't have to choose from, you know, the two sides. So again, information about Maremi, and which again, if you're, you know, you don't, once you've noted that information, use that page. And there we go. That is the two newest books. So please do stick around, and I will be making an art journal page incorporating these two books into it, which I will do on a time lapse, and I will do a voiceover so that you can hear exactly my process for what I am doing. But do please give me a thumbs up, to like the video, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. We have that hype button that you can also hit. That doesn't cost you anything. It sort of informs YouTube that this is a video that people would like to see, so it helps push you more in the algorithm to be seen by more people. And a big thank you as well to my members, who you'll see at right at the end of the video listed as well. And until the next time, I'll say bye for now, but please do stick around and watch the project unfold. So I decided that I wanted to go big with this project today, and I'm going in the Canson art book. This is the one that has Saunders Waterford cotton pressed paper in. It's watercolour paper, it's 100% cotton, it's 300 GSM, and I just really love these books. And I wanted to use the Gansai Tambi from Kuretake, and this is the Art Nouveau set. So as always, I will list in the description box below the products that I've used, but as a quick guide, the colours that I'm using from the set were Cobalt, Turquoise, Greyish Blue, Flax Beige, Mars Yellow and Yellow Brown. You will be able to see from the turquoise, the Cobalt Turquoise, that is a colour that I obviously do use an awful lot. I've actually reached the bottom of the pan in the middle of this one, and I decided that I wanted to go for two areas on my page. I didn't want to cover the whole page, so I'm going for the like a sort of top left and a bottom right with a little bit of a gap in the middle. By the time I'd finished, I expect you're probably thinking, well, actually, you've covered most of it up. But I wanted to leave a little bit of whiteness in the middle, just for a little bit of a different effect. And I didn't really know what would happen when I added these colours on top of each other, but they are such a fun paint to use. I really enjoy them. I know they're probably not everybody's cup of tea. They're not like a traditional watercolour. They're very much more of they've got it's a different sort of feel to them than the Western style watercolours, but I really like them. But I do a lot of just backgrounds with them, so that might be why I haven't tried painting anything sort of more realistic, so to speak, with them. But I'm just going in, adding colours on top of colours, and then letting it do its thing. So there was quite a lot of water on the page to start with, because I wanted them to flow and just do their own sort of thing. So I'm trying to get a bit of a sort of vintage, rusty, industrially-ish sort of vibe going on, but I just wanted to play around with the colours, and this paper is really good at being able to take all this water and product. Now once I had done this, I did more or less leave it to dry on its own. What I did was, there were some areas that were very puddled, and I got my kitchen towel and I did mop up. It was just by letting the paint and water soak into it, and then I left it to dry totally on its own overnight. So I wanted to use one of my new stamp sets, and I've decided to go for the Field Notes by Tim Holtz here. I just love this set. And I'm going in with my Archival mini inks, and the colours I went for were Evergreen Bough, which is one of my standards for anything where I want like a patinery type effect, and I've got Vintage Photo and Ground Espresso. And I start with the biggest stamp, usually with the lightest colour, and I just put that in 3 areas. Then I'm going in with another stamp that's a little bit smaller, a little bit more bold, and I'm going in with the Vintage Photo. So what I decided to do was to cluster my stamping together, and I find this is a really nice way of using stamps, stencils, anything. If you cluster things together, it just helps to draw the eye into different areas. Then I also added on a couple of extra what's the word I'm looking for? Impressions of the stamp as well. And then finally, I'm going in with a much smaller stamp with a much bolder look. And this is, I'm going in with my darkest colour. And again, I'm now going in over those clusters that I started with that darker ink, then over where I'd added the other ones. And then I'm adding little clusters of just the numbers. So this final one is numbers. And I just wanted to add little clusters with the numbers. So 3 of each. Sometimes I do like a second impression, so I don't re-ink my stamp, but this time I actually did keep re-inking because I've had my little archivals quite a while, so they are starting maybe to get a little bit drier than others. I could get re-inkers to re-ink them. And then because I'd gone for this sort of text and number feel in the background, I decided that with my stenciling, because for this page today, I did really sort of just go with what I enjoy doing, the sorts of things that I know work for me, and I wanted a bit of stenciling. So I'm going in with this little D'Inkable from Be Crafty. It's like a smaller version of their Metal Alpha stencil. So it's like letters and numbers. It's not like letters and numbers, it is letters and numbers. And I'm going in with the greyish blue acrylic paint from Amsterdam, and I went with that one because I knew that I'd used a greyish blue in the Kuretake in the background, so I knew it would sort of fit with that colour scheme. And I'm just going in with my stencil brush, which is like a little scrubby brush, and I was trying to make sure that I was really holding my stencil down tight so that it would stencil nicely. Now, these are the books that I decided to use. I went ahead and off camera just cut out lots of elements. So from the junk journaling, the words book, and then the tickets, and then to give me my couple of focal points, because I wanted to have 2 areas on this page that were going to be my clusters. I've gone for an image from Botanica, or the flower, and an image from Butterfly. So they're all images from Maremi books because they just all go so nicely together. Now I tried to go for colours as well that all matched in together. So I've gone for a lot of the beigey browns and that bluey colour. And I went in with some elements that had this darker blue as well. And I'm using the Liquitex Professional Matte Collage Medium. I like this one. It's a thinner matte medium than maybe sometimes people might use something like more of a glue gel, a gel medium I should say, that might be a bit thicker. I like this one, but whatever you have to hand that will stick paper to paper is what is ideal for you. I know a lot of people worry about what should they be using certain glues and that, but anything that really just is gluing your paper to your page. I'm not intending that this is a work of art that's going to be lasting for hundreds of years. It's some fun. It's meant to be enjoyable. It's the process for me that's important. Of course I want it to, stick down, but it's not going on a wall, it's not going in a gallery, it's not going for sale. So I don't have any expectation about how long this has got to last. So if you've got a glue stick, use a glue stick. I know lots of people use glue sticks and they're fine for them. I have a thing against glue sticks because of previously being a teacher in a primary school. So I think we had the worst glue sticks on the planet that never stuck anything to anything. So in my head, glue sticks are not my favourite thing. So for me, this is what I enjoy using. But, whatever you have is what is the best for you, really. So I'm just building up a couple of areas. Now, I had previously laid these bits out to get an idea, but when it actually came to the page, I really was just going with the flow and sort of winging it as to where I was sticking things. So I knew I wanted to have the biggest what's the word? The biggest rectangle of colour that I knew was going to cover the background down first to act as a base. And then I was just laying down the different elements, and I sort of decided that I was just going to go for it. Sometimes you can spend so much time planning and worrying about what something's going to look like, that it actually stops you from doing the thing. And it's a bit of paper. It's, you know, it's bits of paper on a bit of paper. If it doesn't look good at the end, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to close the book when it's dry and move on to the next page. So I just wanted to have some fun putting these bits and pieces down. I should say as well that in between each part of my process, because sometimes I forget to say that I do leave things to dry. I think sometimes people don't know whether I've just carried straight on top of a wet page, but I do let things dry. So for example, when I've done my stenciling, that paint, it doesn't take very long, it being acrylic paint, but you know, I do allow that to dry before I will move on to the next stage. And the same with once I've done this stage, once I have finished gluing everything down, then I will let it dry. I will either let it dry, or probably more likely I'll get my heat tool out and I will give it a blast with my heat tool, because I'm incredibly impatient. But if you can let things dry naturally, it's probably the best way to do it, especially things like paints and inks. Then I looked at my page and I decided I did need a little bit of shadowing in here. So, in between, I did add a coat of clear gesso over the elements, just because the matte medium is an acrylic, and sometimes certain products do not react against it. They might not sit on it nicely because they're the water on top of the plastic. I don't usually find too much problem with the matte medium and the Inktense pencils, but I just thought, just to make sure, I did add a layer of clear gesso, so it gives it a bit of a key, a bit of a primer to be able to add this pencil on. Now this is the Derwent Inktense pencil. The colour I'm using is Bark. It's one of my most used colours, along with dark indigo. Those are my two favourite colours for adding shading on my pages. And I add the shading just to sort of lift the main focal points from the background a little bit. And also just makes it, to me, feel a little bit more like the images are part of the background. Now, you don't have to do this step, and you can do it with multiple, lots of different mediums. You could use your things like your permanent pens if you want to, or paint, ink, whatever you have could do the same effect. I just like these pencils because I get quite a lot of control through using the brush to the tip of the pencil. I am only putting the water on the actual colour as well of the pencil. I'm not putting it on the wood because I don't want the wood to get water in it. But I only use a tiny little bit of water. The brush is like barely damp really. And I like this because I can put colour down, and if I put it down and it's a bit too intense, ink dense, then I can water it out and get a more subtle look. So I just wanted to go mostly around the butterfly and the flower, and also then around the word. And then I did add it around another couple of little bits as well, just as and where I felt that I wanted it at the time, just going with the flow. There was no grand plan for this page at all. It was just to be fun. And I've also added a little bit of the pencil down the bottom to provide some grounding for the flower, because I didn't want it to look like it was just growing in midair. I wanted it to look like it was growing out of something. So again, that was left to dry, and then I wanted to add some white splatters because for me splatters just are a nice finishing touch. Again, this is something you don't need to do. I like to use white because I like it to be quite subtle, and this is the Winsor & Newton drawing ink. There's not an awful lot left in this pot now, but it's still working, and I just put it on my brush and I splatter it on. And this is the final look of the page. Now, if I'd have wanted to be a little bit more dramatic with the splatters, I could have used a brown ink just to make that stand out more. But I like the white. It always sort of reminds me a little floaty orbs or something like that. So thank you ever so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do please give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment about what you think of the new books. At the end of the video, you will also see my lovely super supporters. Thank you ever so much to you, my members, for your extra support. And if you do see that hype button, give me a hype as well. If you haven't subscribed as well, do please subscribe. I would love it for you to join us. And until the next time, bye-bye.